to Voices of Santa Barbara. I am Mark McIntire, your host for today. And we have a very special guest today. As you know, we always do guests that are making news. And certainly we had one today. If you saw the news press on last Friday, September 14th, you saw a very interesting story above the fold with a dramatic picture. And the headline read, SBCC professor alleging academic freedom suppression settles with school for $120,000. And of course, they're referring to Mark McIntire. Oh, wait a minute, I am Mark McIntire. So I guess I'm my guest today. And fortunately, I get to use my Jim Schrader voice. And Jim is KUSC announcer, classical music station, and I really like his voice, so I'm going to do my imitation of the Jim Schrader voice today, sort of like this. So we're going to do 5 segments today on Voices of Santa Barbara with Mark McIntire. The first voice is going to be concerning, yes, right, the headline, my settlement with Santa Barbara City College for $120,000, and more details. The second segment is going to be social justice warriors pushback. The third segment is going to be about the pedophile meltdown of the Catholic Church. I titled this segment, Father, Don't Touch the Boys. Fourth segment is going to be trumpeting Trump. I think I'm running against Trump from the primary. I think he's too liberal. And number 5 is going to be law and the swinging pendulum, why you should go to law school. So sit back, enjoy, and it's going to be an exciting and an interesting show. We've got a lot of information here for you. So let's start with my settlement with Santa Barbara City College. Well, the best way to do that is, of course, the very story that appeared on September 14th, last Friday, on the front page. I think the best way to do it is just go through it together. It was written by Josh Grega. And Josh is a news press staff writer, rising star there, by the way. And it reads, a former adjunct professor of philosophy at Santa Barbara City College has reached a $120,000 out-of-court settlement with the institution over a dispute of alleged, quote, wrongful termination and academic freedom suppression, unquote. According to a press release by the now former instructor, Mark McIntire, his agreement with Santa Barbara City College has no confidentiality or non-disparagement codicils attached to the charges, and his status has been changed at the college HR department from terminated to resign. Just a comment there, people have asked me, what does non-confidentiality and non-disparagement agreements entail? Well, it means I'm free to talk my head off about what happened, and I'm free to disclose anything about the grievances that I brought against the college that resulted in the settlement. I just want to clear that up. Mr. McIntire told the news press that he was satisfied by the compromise he reached with the SBCC and expressed pleasure that his demands of known confidentiality and non-disparagement agreements were granted. That goes to the very heart of my free speech and academic freedom, he said. The settlement also removes 3 negative teaching evaluations that provided grounds for his termination, as well as their related and corresponding documents. These evaluations, 2 of them from 2017 and 1 from 2018, were written by SBCC philosophy professor and department chair Mark Bobrow. Both Dr. Bobrow's evaluations from fall and spring 2017 concluded that Mr. McIntire's course needed improvement and had similar criticisms. Both took issue that McIntire's instruction was more heavily weighted toward deductive reasoning than inductive reasoning, that he assigned politically charged topics for essay assignments, and that the website used for his class was, quote, confusing and, quote, difficult to navigate. Dr. Bobrow's evaluation of Mr. McIntire for fall of 2017 in particular took issue with now-deleted Facebook posts from McIntire. According to the evaluation, Mr. McIntire's post criticized the teaching of other Santa Barbara City College professors and made comments on transgendered people that Dr. Bobrow found objectionable. So much so that he added a point of improvement for Mr. McIntire to, quote, go to a diversity workshop on campus this school year, end quote. Mr. McIntire responded that some of the department chair's criticisms a few weeks later, asserting that he didn't assign political topics for his papers and that his students were allowed to select their own topics for their papers. As for the diversity workshop requirement, Mr. McIntire called it, quote, an arbitrary attempt to coerce my agreement that some of my Facebook postings were negative, end quote. According to a formal complaint from Mr. McIntire, in response to Dr. Bobro's spring 2018 evaluation, the former professor wrote that Dr. Bobro later admitted that he lacked the authority to make Mr. McIntire attend a diversity workshop. As a condition of rehiring and barring any new development would give him a, quote, satisfactory rating that semester. However, on May 13, 2018, Dr. Bobro issued a negative evaluation for Mr. McIntire and wrote, I don't see sufficient improvement to warrant rehiring him. Mr. McIntire was thus formally fired. In his 2018 complaint, Mr. McIntire said a new development did occur during that spring semester, namely that he called the Shermer incident. As the news press reported, Mr. McIntire invited renowned atheist author Michael Shermer to participate as a guest speaker in SBCC Faculty Colloquium lecture series on March 19th. Just in the interest of transparency and full disclosure, I'd like to remark that I am not an atheist, and that's the reason why I invited Dr. Shermer, because he is an atheist, and that's what a colloquium is supposed to be for. The exchange of opposing views. That's what you do at college. The morning of the back to the article. The morning of the faculty colloquium, Santa Barbara City College chemistry professor Rayanne Napoleon used a campus email system to disseminate a 2014 BuzzFeed article about sexual harassment allegations against Dr. Shermer. However, she didn't include Dr. Shermer's response to these allegations posted on his personal website. And the campus newspaper, The Channels, published an article reiterating these allegations, reportedly without contacting Dr. Shermer for his comments. Following this, Mr. McIntire used the campus email system to send Dr. Shermer's responses to these allegations from 2014, as well as a direct response from Dr. Shermer threatening legal action. In his emails, Mr. McIntire wrote, in our American system of justice, those accused of criminal acts have the right to defend themselves against their accusers in the very forum of the accusation itself. This triggered a long series of emails between Mr. McIntire, Dr. Napoleon, and faculty members who supported Dr. Napoleon, all defending their respective stances on the Shermer incident. It also eventually led to Dr. Napoleon and 3 other female faculty members filing Title IX charges of bullying and sexual harassment against Mr. McIntire, of which he was exonerated in June. Just as a comment here, the other filers for the Title IX included Cynthia Davis, English Department, Danielle Swantek, History Department, and the campus head librarian, Ellen Carey. Back to the article. In Mr. McIntire's response, Dr. Bobro's final evaluation, he said he believed the negative evaluation was punishment for the Shermer incident and its fallout. I believe that Dr. Bobro's sudden change of heart in offering a satisfactory evaluation rating on February 5, 2018, and his substandard evaluation rating on May 14, 2018, is due to my role in the Shermer incident, he wrote. Dr. Bobro did not respond to the news press request for an interview. Mr. McIntire told the news press that he had a gentleman's agreement with the college president, Anthony Beebe, not to speak publicly about his embattled time at City College, so long as the Title IX accusers also stayed quiet about him. However, Mr. McIntire said that he changed, this all changed when he discovered that the campus newspaper, the Channels, was covering his settlement and seeking Dr. Napoleon's comments for the story. In the story by Channels editor Delaney Smith, Dr. Napoleon maintains that Mr. McIntire got away with harassing her and said she is considering resigning from SBCC. McIntire was allowed to harass me, she says, and anyone that stuck up for me for literally months, she told the Channels. Mr. McIntire said he felt Dr. Napoleon's comments required a response, that speaking to the news press was necessary. I would not, he says, attack my accusers if my accusers did not attack me. When I'm bitten, I bite back. End of the article. I'd just like to point out, before we go to commercial break, that two of these individuals, Cynthia Davis and Rayanne Napoleon, have been trolling me on Facebook, and they've been staying up night watching porno films to try and see if they can discover Mark McIntire in any of these films. Now, I must say I thank them for doing this because of two reasons. First of all, they're raising my masculine profile, and secondly, they're increasing my name recognition for when I run against Donald Trump in the primary for the 2020 presidential election. So I want to say to these ladies, keep it up. Keep it up. I really appreciate it. We're going to go to break. I am Mark McIntire, Voices of Santa Barbara. Stay with us. We'll be right back.